Hello, and a very big welcome to you as the viewer to this Blue Frontier Path video session. My name is Chris Voisey. I am a coach and facilitator in the area of voice and communication skills, and it is my privilege to be in conversation with some of the tutors who are part of the Blue Frontier Path Academy. And especially today, I'd like to welcome a friend and colleague, Mr. Claude Piddy, to our conversation. Claude, welcome to you.
Thanks a lot, Chris. It's good to see you again.
You too. So we're talking tutoring, Claude. We're talking education and the role of the tutor and the importance, particularly in the South African context, to that kind of accessibility to education. Won't you just give us a little bit of background on yourself and on the role that you play as a tutor in the Blue Frontier Path Academy?
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Chris. Many years ago, we used to frown upon those that were doing correspondence school. That's what we used to call it. If someone didn't go into a classroom to do college or university, you sort of thought, look down on them. But the world has changed so much that now you can have education, you can access education from anywhere in the world. But along with that comes the challenge that not everybody is necessarily ready and able to study and carry through their educational journey alone and aided. There are many online institutions and platforms that people can access education from now, and that obviously brings the challenge for those that cannot do it alone. I have a very simplistic definition of a teacher or a lecturer compared to a tutor. I say that the lecturer stands up and they speak for about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then they group the students into, they break the students into groups and they say to you, do some group work. After that, they say goodbye. We'll see you next week. Go and read from chapter 15 up to chapter 18 of the prescribed textbook. And off they go. Their 1 hour is done. They have ticked off and their pay is done. And my definition of a tutor is the tutor comes after that, holds the student's hand and says, let's go back to step number 1 in the lecture. Do you understand what he or she was saying? Yes, I do. Let's take that step. Are you comfortable now? All right, let's take the next step. Handhold you through the process to help you unpack and help you understand some of the things that the lecturer may not have the opportunity because they are looking at 15, 20, 100, depending on the size of the class. That's really the role of the tutor. And like I alluded to a little bit earlier, there are many students that want to study and opportunity may not afford for them to go out and stay in a classroom. Especially nowadays with all of the changed work circumstance, the changed education circumstances, people work from home, you study from home, and not everybody is able to do that. That's where the tutor comes in. Yeah. I know the first part of your question was about myself. I have an accounting and a finance background, but I'm not a practicing accountant for many years now. I'm more into the soft skills and leadership and all of that. Although in the most recent past, I am the MBA tutor. That's my role within the Blue Frontier Path Academy.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Claude. That is beautifully expressed. And I really like what you say there about the difference between a lecturer and a tutor. I think the word facilitator is a very important word because that's essentially what the tutor is doing. You know, I remember when I was studying at University of KZN and doing a degree, you know, you'd sit in a class with 500 other students. I did English literature and philosophy. And there the person would stand at the front and just talk for 50 minutes or whatever, turn around, pick up their bag and walk out. And that was it. And whereas today, you're so right about the change in education, both into online, but also into the process where we're trying to facilitate people learning and understanding what's going on. I think this is, you express that very well. You say that very well. So now if we look, let's look at the online thing briefly, because as you say, we've moved from that situation. I mean, I'm a much older man, and of course I grew up in the era of no one ever even heard of online, but you're quite right. They did used to talk about correspondence, and it was looked down upon. You know, if you had to study through correspondence, you weren't getting the real thing.
Yeah,
Now that world has changed, because the real thing
true.
is online teaching, and there is
Yeah,
access to excellent tutors and facilitators in the online field. So
so true.
how do you think that people feel about this? You know, if I was to ask you the question, we talk about the self-made man, particularly in this time of entrepreneurial activity. And yet education is such a critically important part of our growing up and so on. How do you feel about that, Claude? You know, the tutoring versus the self-made millionaire.
um, at the risk of sounding controversial, there is no such a thing as a self-made man or a self-made woman.
Yeah.
Regardless of what level of success one achieves, there always will have been somebody else that handheld you for whether for a month or 2 months, and in some instances for years. There is somebody that will have had input that either influences your direction or enhanced you or pushed you along, or so there's no such a thing as a self-made man. And in my own opinion, the tutor is one of those that come along and help you through your journey, your journey in education, in your journey in training, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit like we talk about mentors and coaches these days. Mentors, another very important role that people play. And even in big business, many big businesses have coaches and mentors right up to CEO level, as you know, Claude,
Yeah.
right up to
Yes.
CEO level, where the top man or the top woman has got somebody who just helps facilitate the
Yeah.
process of understanding a situation, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I like, if I may just jump in for a second, I
Please
like the
do.
word that you're using the second or third time now, facilitate. When someone facilitates, they make it able for whoever it is that they are facilitating for that person to do what they must do, to succeed, as the case may be. So yes, it is true that the role of a tutor is that of facilitating. It's as if we sit in the passenger seat and the learner driver sits in the driver's seat, and then we say to them, veer towards the left. You see that hump coming, you start braking now so that you don't have a squeak as you approach the hump. That's precisely some of what I think the key role of the tutor is.
Yeah, absolutely. That is precisely what it is. Um, well, I'm not sure if there's anything else we need to cover. We don't want to make this a very long video. We want to just talk about that tutoring role and how important that is to students. So if you were to have a message to a person wanting to follow a particular course of study, like an MBA or any course of study, Claude, what would that be? What would your message be to someone who might be watching this video and considering more education, more learning via online?
First of all, be sure what you want to achieve. And then if you decide, for instance, that the MBA is the route towards what it is that you want to achieve, then you throw your heart, you throw your feet, you throw your hands, you throw your brain into it. That is one side of it. And then, because not everybody has had the same background, in training and in tutoring MBA students, you come across students that come from all sorts of backgrounds, some of whom may never have had a background in the modules that are being taught at the MBA level. This is where now you say to yourself, in order for me to get from step 1 to perhaps step 3, I might need somebody else that will help, walk with me this journey. Someone who has walked before, someone who has helped other people walk the same journey with me. So go for it, whatever it is that you decide you want to do. But online education is available and it's not going anywhere soon.
Absolutely. And in fact, I think it's also, many people obviously will look at the affordability of added education, if you want to call it that, or extra education. But the affordability and the cost of something like this is purely in proportion in relation to what you gain. So I've heard many students who've been through yourself, Claude, and others who've said, what this tutor has helped me learn and know about the subject that I'm studying has been invaluable. So the tutor opens doors in the brain for that person to understand a subject even more. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. One more simplistic definition of a teacher that I heard a long time ago, and this has helped me in my job of teaching and training. A teacher is someone that takes something that either is or appears to be complicated, complex. They take it, they repackage, they unpack it, and they present it to the student in such a way that even the simplest of minds can understand. That to me is a teacher, and that's one of the philosophies that drives how we offer our tutorial services.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time, Claude. And I look forward to seeing you again sometime. And to our viewers watching this video, I hope that's given you some answers to the importance of that a tutor, the role of a tutor can play in your life and in your education. So thank you very much, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you again on video, online from the Blue Frontier Path Academy.
Thank you.